Hey everybody, welcome to yet another World of Warships replay. Once again on Hotspot. This map pops a lot in higher tiers, and I'm finally in the North Carolina. It's the Tier 8 US battleship, which leads to the USS Iowa. Excuse me. And we do actually have an Iowa on our team. We also have a Yamato and an Izumo. So, rip enemy team. We have a tier 10 and two tier 9s. The enemy have a lot more ships than us and an aircraft carrier, which kind of balances it, I think. Personally, I would rather have an aircraft carrier tier 8 than a tier 10 battleship on my team, but that might just be me. Anyway, to start with, our team is rather indecisive about where to go. And so we just kind of generally head towards the middle. Again, not a good idea, but hey, it worked last time, right?
Our team has taken the lead.
Next thing you know, I'll be valley rushing Lakeville. And here we have one of the enemy battleships providing some insight into the puppy mind. He doesn't know how a battleship can sit in a solid wall of smoke and fire its guns without being spotted. Well, you can see where the traces are coming from, so technically it is spotted. Just shoot between the traces. It's not that hard. So far, I haven't really got any good hits in. I'll look for some shots on the North Carolina as he pops out from behind the cliffs there. Looks like one or two hits might come out of that. Sure enough, 2 hits. But no real damage. Now we have a much softer, easier target in the form of a Mogami, who is presenting his complete broadside silhouette to me. Now, I'm taking a risky turn here to the left. I'm right next to an island, so I slow down and immediately begin shifting my rudder back before I've even completed my turn.
Confirmed penetration.
The reason I made that turn and risked running myself aground was to unmask my rear turret, which gave me a fair amount more damage on that Mogami than if I just fired at him with the front 2 turrets. It's one consideration when you are playing battleships. You have to decide whether you want to risk nearly running aground or perhaps running into a teammate to unmask your full broadside, or if you can just suffice with you know, half your broadside basically, or in this case 2/3 of it. Mogami sunk, so I begin shifting to the Myoko. Now, you may have spotted the torps launching earlier. I certainly did, but I was in the middle of a turn, so I wasn't too worried. Most pubbies don't know how to aim torps at a turning target, and so if you are in a turn, you're usually pretty safe. Fortunately, my shots on the Myoko just miss him. They looked like they fell slightly astern and to either side of him, so they were more or less accurate, but just not quite accurate enough. Do land a single hit there and shoot down one of the enemy aircraft. And I spot the carrier here to my left, and I'm kind of torn about what to do. The Ibuki's about to come out and present me a nice shot, so I decide to go with the Ibuki first, especially since he is a major threat.
All stations requesting fire support.
Looks like I've destroyed his front 2 turrets and done a decent amount of damage, unfortunately not as much as I'd like. Saw him launch torps, so I began turning away towards the carrier. Now this is a really risky position. I've got a destroyer right next to me, a cruiser behind me. Both of them are armed with torpedoes and both of them fired torpedoes. Thankfully my teammates handled the Fubuki for me, but his torps were already in the water and headed my way. Now I turn to get my full broadside at the carrier,
We're all below the water
and in
line.
doing
We're
so,
flooding quickly.
I take quite a bit of damage off those torps. I thought I was dead here. I really did. I knew I was going to eat at least 2 of these. But I get very lucky. They hit the belt, they don't do much to me, and they do not cause flooding.
Problem solved, sir.
I'm able to fire off my front 2 guns at the Shikaku as he moves into cover. But I'll have to finish him off later. Now, I'm not entirely sure how a lot of the mechanics in this game work. I don't read the documentation as much as I should. I just kind of, I guess, playtest, you could say. So I suspect that torpedoes hitting the torpedo bulges on your ship are a lot less likely to cause flooding, as well as generally causing less damage. Normally when I've experienced flooding from torps, it's because they hit the bow or stern of my ship somewhere outside of the torpedo bulges, and I very luckily get away with that. More torps incoming. This guy is determined to kill me. Unfortunately for him, the extremely good anti-aircraft fire of a US battleship is enough to scatter his planes and cause their torp drops to be all spread out, making them easier for me to dodge, particularly since this thing turns quite well. 2 enemy battleships appear around the island, Colorado and then North Carolina. I take the Colorado, he's closest, and I have the most chance of knocking him out before he can get many shots off. North Carolina is the bigger threat, but in this case I'd rather take the guns out of the fight rather than do some damage to North Carolina and have 2 battleships still shooting at me. One of my teammates cleans up the Colorado, leaving me free to shift my attention to the North Carolina. I am hanging on by the skin on the end of my fingers at this point. I will be very lucky to survive this engagement. Very, very, very lucky. Friendly Iowa is charging into my right though, so I do have some significant backup here. And meanwhile, I am probably making this Shikaku player cry by shooting down all his planes. Down goes the enemy North Carolina, and we've pretty much cleared the map. The southwest and southeast corners are both ours. The remaining enemy ships are concentrated in the northwest. They're out of my range. I'm not likely to get there before the end of the match. We control the majority of points. We have the enemy bottled up. This is a win for us, pretty much. I have no idea how I survived that, and no idea how our disorganized team was able to pull this off. But I ended up picking up a pretty decent amount of XP for this match, so I'm not going to complain. And this is a good example of how not to drive a battleship. I don't know, I just seem to get very lucky. I do the dumbest, most terrible things and seem to always get away with it. Must be very lucky. Anyway, I quite enjoy the North Carolina. It is a very nice ship, and it has me very much looking forwards to the Iowa.